Hi, welcome to Hope in the Light of Suicide. I'm Tammy White. I'm your host and founder and CEO of the Bobby White Foundation. And I want to welcome you here tonight. I got this. It's been a really tough week, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But so I got to try and stay on task here. So first of all, thanks. John with Area 52 Media Group. If it wasn't for them, like I say every single time, and it's absolutely true, we wouldn't be here. Their love and support for the show is tremendous. And Joseph in the background, who does all the hard work for me, it's again, I wouldn't be here. So this is really cool. Also, I can't forget, our sponsor, Delynn Galston with the mortgage firm. She's awesome. Anything mortgages, I can say it over and over again. I mean, seriously, in my opinion, the best, most informative mortgage person, and just a great person. So, gonna buy your first house or refinance? She's your gal. So, as I had mentioned, and even I named the show, it's been a rough week, and it doesn't really have anything to do with suicide either, but it has to do with Bobby and our friends. So we have these friends that Bobby was a land surveyor, and it's kind of a very tight community, at least it used to be anyways. And so we've had these friends that Bobby worked with, and we've been friends for over 30 years. It was not his first survey job here, but his second survey job here. He tends to stay places for a really long time. So we have these group of friends. They're all land surveyors and their spouses. And Jim and Joanne Balderson is one of them. And that's who this is about. So, but there's just so many more. Jim's been in the hospital for the last couple months, and kind of in and out. She got him to come back home after rehab, and it just really didn't work out. So, we got the news a little bit ago, a week or two ago, that he's only probably has a couple months to live. He could go on dialysis. He was on dialysis. They made the decision last week, after his first trip to the dialysis place here in town, that he wasn't going to continue with it. So this is where we didn't get that opportunity. But anyways, him and his wife had the discussion and decided that they weren't going to continue treatment. And I was at their house with another friend, and when Jim told us the information, and it was hard to hear. I mean, we've been friends for seems like a million years, but like I said, 30 years plus. And so then I had other friends of ours that I had to give this news to, which isn't the first time I've had to give really terrible news to somebody. But anyway, he was put into a rehab center, and I was able to get his wife up there, Joanne, because it's quite a distance from where we live, and they're in their 70s, which doesn't seem old, being in my 60s. But she has, limitations too. She walks with a cane and stuff, and I mean, she can drive, but man, so many people here are moving to Florida. It is just absolutely crazy. The traffic out there is a nightmare. So Took us well over an hour to get up there from where she lives in Holiday to Spring Hill, which to me is unheard of. But I mean, it was back to back traffic on US 19 from Pasco County line to Pasco County line. It was crazy. So we got to see him, and it was a surprise for him. He didn't know we were coming, and he was just so glad to see his wife. And we went out to lunch, and I think I probably talked about some of this last week because I think it happened the day before we taped our show. So anyway, he ended up coming home, and which I was kind of so about that. But I mean, after talking to the guy who did the dialysis at the treatment center, I felt more comfortable about it. But he was home one night and rolled out of bed, and it took EMS to get him back in bed. And he didn't want to go to the hospital. So we started this hospice stuff, and that's when I was over there. The other night, and the hospice intake nurse was there, and to get all the information, but we thought that he was going to be able to do it at home. Well, that didn't work out. So now he is in a hospice care facility. These are guys that, they busted their butt for years outside in the Florida heat surveying, and it's sad. But it's sad. I mean, he's at least, like I said, they've worked together to figure out this end of life transition, which is, and they were so gracious to me because when we were talking throughout the night, they were like, we really wish that you had that opportunity. And I'm like, I really wish I had that opportunity too. But even still, unfortunately, I found out that with the laws that you have to have a doctor sign off that you have 6 months or less to live. Well, with MS, you can't figure that out. But even with Jimmy's situation, we got a couple of the other survey guys together. Both of them I haven't seen. One of them I haven't seen since for 9 years, actually, since Bobby's party that we put on for him. And then Brian, I probably haven't seen him, and I saw him a couple of years, I guess, after Bobby died. So probably 7 years. And so it was cool. So we put it together that we would all meet in Jimmy's hospice room. And then our other friends, Mike and Nancy, who moved back to Virginia, Mike worked with Brian and Terry and Jim, and there's a couple others, Jared and Keith and Bo. But we got Mike and Nancy on the phone. So we had like Mike and Nancy were on the phone from Virginia, and Terry and Brian and I and Joanne and Jim were all together. So it was really kind of cool. But Jim told, before Joanne got there, Jim told Brian and I that the doctors said, well, we have a better timeline, because we were looking at when he quit dialysis 2 weeks is what we were told. And so he told Brian and I that, maybe the doctor said he's probably got a couple months or so, and because his ultimate goal is to get back home and to die at home. I don't know that that's going to happen. So as I talked to his wife last night, who was back up there, that took place on Sunday. So yesterday, Monday. And she said that the doctor didn't say anything like that to her. So it's 2 to 5 weeks. I did tell him, though, that he cannot pass away while I'm on my cruise, which is next week. So he said he would do his best, but try to, lighten it up a bit. But, you just never know. And it's the hard part is watching Joanne go through this. And I forgot a couple other things that we were going to do, but we'll do this and then we'll go back to Art for Hope. But we had, for years, this group of guys that surveyed together and their spouses, we would go out to dinner once a month. And usually it was the person whose birthday it was got to pick the restaurant. And we did this for years. And we were actually talking about that on Sunday. And so anyways, and then when Bobby died, things kind of busted up when we had the recession and we weren't going out to dinner anymore. But then after Bobby died, Jim and Joanne and I, we would always we would go out for our birthdays anyways, at least the three of us. So I have a picture here of, I think, Joseph it's Asset for, yeah, that one. When I broke my arm, like that was 3 years after Bobby died. We went out to lunch at I can't remember the name of the restaurant now, on downtown Newport Richey. So I'm there sitting next to Jim with a cast on my wrist. But I was going through and I'm like, I don't have a lot of pictures of them. I think that's the last one that I have. But anyways, it's hard. It's hard watching Joanne. So, I've been doing a lot of thinking lately because of, when somebody dies by suicide, it's so sudden and it's traumatizing. And even, when I went through, what I did, with my first husband, Michael, thinking I was going to pick him up from work and he wasn't there. But watching my friend Joanne go through this, and even though it's, it's a preparation in a way, it's so hard. It's really hard watching her go through it. I can be there as much as I can. I mean, Lord knows that, they were, a couple of the friends that have stood by me this whole entire time and that was always there. Like I told them, we have been having a lot of reflective conversations. I don't even remember, like the first year. And, but, I have these friends that they've just always stuck by me. And you don't have to do it in a big way. But I know that they were always there. And now, getting ready to lose Jim, it's just it's hard. But at least we went 9 years without losing anybody from that group. I really appreciate Mike and Nancy, staying in touch. And it was funny when, because that same day, Sunday, when we figured this out, and it was a surprise that Joanne and I kind of cooked up if we could, and for the most part it worked out. But so when Brian had to leave to he's working on a job in Jacksonville, I think, and I was going to have to leave, and Mike and Nancy were going to have to go. And so after Mike and Nancy hung up, it was like Joanne was like, "Man, do you have any battery power on your phone?" And I looked, I said, "No, yeah, I'm really pretty good." We were on the phone. They were on the phone. We were all on the phone for like an hour and 23 minutes. I'm like, wow, can't believe my battery is still working. Because after that, then I had to go to a memorial service for another good friend of mine that I've known for not quite as long, but just nearly as long. Her stepson passed away, and so I left there to go to the VFW, and they had an awesome turnout for Charlie. It was very heartwarming, and I'm really happy for Carol that there was such a tremendous turnout. He was pretty young, but yeah. So it's kind of been a hard, crappy week, and all these things just go through my head, and sometimes I just want to turn my brain off. But we keep going, and we're there to support our friends and to help each other. And to me, that's just like, there's nothing better than that. It's hard, but ironically, kind of like for all of us, it's like our friends are more supportive, with each other than our families are. But that's okay. We get to choose our friends. So that's pretty cool. So this kind of goes into, like I had mentioned earlier, and maybe hopefully we can get to Art for Hope before this, but I want to get through the end of our book, The Wilderness of Suicide Grief, Finding Your Way. We only got 2 touchstones to go, and I'm getting ready to go on a cruise for a week. So next week your show will be a rerun of some sort. But I'm looking forward to going on the cruise because I really need it. Probably now more than ever. But anyway, so yes, The Wilderness to Suicide Grief. We're at Touchstone 9 and 10. So Touchstone, and it's kind of, everything just kind of falls into place. So Touchstone 9 is seek reconciliation, not resolution. And I like this quote at the beginning of Touchstone 9 by Dr. Alan Wolfelt, of course. Unless you believe you are worthy of reconciliation and healing your suicide grief, you will question it, inhibit it, deny it, or push it away. You don't want to do that. How do you ever find your way out of the wilderness of your grief? You can't dwell in it. And it's hard. Everything that I'm telling you is everything I've done or been through, and probably the worst of it. Your journey will never, ever, it won't end. This is our new journey. It's our new life. If we reconcile to it, I think we can live with it a lot better, or we can learn. Actually, we have to learn. We have to learn to do it. Total return to normalcy after the death of someone you loved is not possible. We are forever changed. And that's, just like when my friend Joanne is going to. She's going through right now. It's not sudden. So it's going to be weeks of transformation and reconciliation and coming to terms with what is happening. But she's going to have support of her friends. Denise and I will make sure of that. With reconciliation comes a renewed sense of energy, confidence, and ability to fully acknowledge the reality of the death and the capacity to become re-involved in activities of living. And that's the thing. You kind of wonder, sometimes you wonder, it's like, are you worthy of that? And it's so hard. And you know what? We are worthy of that. And even though it's really hard, especially in the beginning, but it can continue on for years. I know it has for me at times. I think I'm getting better about it, realizing I mean, and it's that I want to too. You have to want to. I want to. I want to live. I want to have a life. You know, it's hard. You know, yeah. Do I wish Bobby was here? Sure, but not with the way things were. I guess. Um, I know he's. I know he's good where he's at, and I haven't joked around. You know, as some of our friends, and everybody was cool with it, which I'm glad. Bobby's going to be there waiting for Jim, you know, along with a lot of other people for Jim. But, you know, I told, you know, Bobby's going to be there. He's going to be there waiting for him, thanking him for, you know, being there for me. You know, I mean, that's just the way I believe, you know. If you believe so, I'm happy for you. If you don't, that's okay too. You know, everybody has their beliefs, but that's mine. Um, and I know that it's true. Um, too, I'm talking to Bobby. I'm like, okay, now you got to show me that it's true. Tell me that, you know, let me know that, yeah, you heard me. I hope. Anyways, some signs of reconciliation. A reconciliation of the reality and the finality of the death. Returning to stable eating and sleeping patterns. I don't know really about that one, even though I highlighted that one when I read through this the first time. Neither one of those have worked out for me yet. I don't know that they ever will. I did realize that Bobby ate a lot of food. My grocery bill is like, and the groceries that I buy are way, way less. Granted, I'd rather have the high grocery bill than Bobby here, but it was just like kind of a weird realization. Establishment of new and healthy relationships. I've made new friends. And that's been good. The drive to organize and plans one's life towards the future. That's been a really difficult one too. But I think I'm working on getting that a little bit better. You know, it's 9 years later. Let's see. Here we go. The awareness that you do not get over your grief. Instead, you have a new reality, meaning, and purpose in your life. Yeah, my life has totally changed. Any of us that are going through this, or, you know, it's going to happen with Joanne. My little cat Millie is being a nuisance. Okay. Life's going to be different. But if we can accept it, which is a hard thing to do. I mean, it took me years. I thought I was accepting it, I think, but I really wasn't, you know? He has in here, I wanted to share this. One of his greatest teachers, Dr. Ellen Wolfelt, C.S. Lewis wrote in A Grief Observed about his grief symptoms as they eased in his journey of reconciliation. There was no sudden, striking, and emotional transition like a warming of a room or the coming of daylight when you first notice them. They have already been going on for some time. I would like that. Okay, so let's see if we can go through 10, which is the last touchstone. Appreciate your transformation. And this is really pretty cool. Nature does not know extinction. All it knows is transformation. Wernher von Braun. The journey through the grief that follows death of someone precious to suicide is life-changing. We just said that before. I am a different person. I certainly am not the same person that I was April 7th, 2016, the day before Bobby took his life. I will never be that person. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. It took me a while to wrap kind of that around my head because I wasn't, really even, I guess, thinking per se. But it's kind of a growth. You learn a lot about yourself. And he has in here a couple of things, and I'm just going to be able to highlight them because we're running out of time again. Growth means using your potential, and you have a responsibility to live. At the very end, it is say yes to life and no to suicide. We do have a responsibility to live, and our loved ones would want that. Tomorrow is now. You can choose to vitalize your heart, opening each and every day. Your heart is open. You are receptive to what life brings you, both happy and sad. By staying open, you create a gateway to your healing. And we will heal. Not totally. It's not gonna, there's no closure. Remember, he said, as Dr. Wolfelt says, it's for windows and doors. So our quote for today is, "Don't let your hope be stolen," by Pope Francis. I just heard that like this morning, and I had to write it down for today's quote. And also remember, put the numbers in your phone, the Lifeline, National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 9888. Veterans press 1, text 741-741. And remember, there's always hope. I mean, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Be aware, stay safe. There is always hope. Thank you.